There's a lot of amazing downtowns to pick from in the Sarasota area down to Englewood.
And today we're going to do the difficult task of ranking them from 1 to 10 and telling you what makes each of them so special.
At number 10, we have Gulfgate Estates. This is a pretty cool downtown in Sarasota. It is older though.
And I think downtown, we're using that word lightly for this one. All the other ones I think are more quintessential downtowns.
Yeah, there is a lot of shopping and a lot of different restaurants, and it is a little bit walkable too. A lot of different coffee shops. It's a pretty cool area, but it is an older area, and I feel like you would just go there either, to eat or go to a coffee shop, or
there's a few bars too.
Yeah.
It seems like there's a lot of really good food there, and we've only ate at a few of the different ones, and it's got a little more of like a hip, younger vibe to it, a little bit more of a lively atmosphere, but definitely older kinds of buildings.
It does feel too like it's got like an old Florida feel going on. But again, those have a lot to do, but at the same time, it's just, I feel like it's very repetitive of the things that there is to do.
Yeah, but I do think some of the restaurants too, they're a little bit more interesting and unique as far as the kinds of food, just the overall vibes and atmosphere. They're a little more funky, I guess you could say. And it does seem like it's more of like a place that the locals go to hang out compared to a lot of these other ones, whereas these other ones I think kind of just draw crowds from like all over, potentially anyways. Some of them more than others, of course.
Just to give you an idea of where Gulfgate is located, it is on the south end of Sarasota and relatively close to Siesta Key.
Coming in at number 9 is in Englewood, Florida, Dearborn Street. This is definitely more old Florida. It's again a little more rustic. Different strokes for different folks on this one. Some people love it. We love it. Some people don't like it as much because it's a little too old Florida feel for them, but a lot more quaint, small beach town feeling shops and restaurants. A lot of them have very limited hours, which is part of why, we're putting it at number 9. We love a lot of the restaurants though, like Mango Bistro is amazing.
The 2 coffee shops downtown are really good, both of them.
Joe Max and
Culture?
Culture? I don't know. We don't even know the name, but we've been there a few times and we love it.
There's also a place called House of Blues, which is pretty cool. We haven't been there yet, but we keep wanting to get there.
One of the infamous places we keep talking about, but not going to.
We need to make a note to go.
Yeah.
I think this is the second time I mentioned that in the video.
And there's also the farmers market, which is, we've said this in multiple videos now, probably one of the biggest farmers markets we've seen from like a small town. Just lots of vendors there. They do it on Thursday, which is kind of unique as well. So yeah, it's definitely, a spot where a lot of people come to hang out when those events are going on. And then outside of that, not so much. They also have classic car shows. I think it's like once a month on Saturdays. It might be every other week. I don't remember exactly, but I know they have a lot of classic cars there. Maybe Google it and you can find out more about that.
They also have different festivals throughout the year. There is the Burger in Paradise, which that one's new. It's pretty cool actually.
That was really good.
Yeah, you can purchase like half of a burger and try different, I believe this year they had like 16 different burgers to pick from. There's also the Seafood Festival, Arts and Craft Festivals, and a lot more.
And locationally, this sits a little bit towards more of the north end of Englewood, inland, and there's another downtown-ish area in Englewood that we'll talk about later on the list, but it's not by the beach, this one, since it is inland.
Number 8 on the list is Wellen Park, but we do think that Wellen Park, once it's already completed and all built out, it will go up on our list, mainly because right now we're in phase 1 and there are some restaurants open. Oak and Stone is open, Villani & Co., the Buying House. There is a coffee shop, Foxtail Coffee Shop, which has great coffee.
It's Pup Cup Central is what Foxtail is, as far as our dog's concerned anyway.
And Wellen Park always has something going on. Throughout the week events, they have different festivals. They had a fall festival for the beginning of fall.
Wellen Wednesdays, they have live music on the Great Lawn.
They have the cornhole.
It's like a tournament, I think, that they do.
Yeah.
I think that's every week, or is every 2 weeks, once a month. We've just been there like a lot of, so just to get some context, like Venice downtown used to be like where we went all the time. And lately it's been all about Wellen Park for us. So I think that should
And every time we go there is something going on. It doesn't matter if it's, during the week, during the day, like there's always something going on. They do have Friday night live music. They also have the Tailgate Tuesdays for football.
They also got yoga on the lawn.
Zumba.
Whole lot of events going on.
A lot, yeah, there's a lot always going on. And with the restaurants too, especially Oak and Stone, which if you're not familiar with Oak and Stone, they do have a lot of beer that you can buy by the ounce.
Yeah, and there's lots to pick from, and because of that, I've heard this, a rumor.
Insert clips here of Jesse trying them out.
They're thinking about renaming it Heaven. Yeah. That's just what I heard. No, that place is awesome. It is so awesome. And they got the little rooftop seating area there, so that's exciting.
Overlooking the lake, the Wellen Park lake, so that's pretty cool.
And I think that's one thing that sets Wellen Park apart from maybe not all the downtowns on this, but a lot of them, is it's got a nice mix of, like, there's trails to go around the lake. There's a huge lake. There's the great long grassy area. There's some areas with artificial turf. It's just got this unique blend of, like, unique architecture and murals, and
there is a playground too, and there's also a splash pad for the little ones.
And I think once this is all said and done, and there's a little bit more built out with businesses and things like that, I could see this easily going to, like, for sure top 5 on the list, if not top 3 or 4, but I guess we'll see what else comes to the area. And if you want to know more about what's coming to the area, we did do a full video covering a lot of what we know is coming, and then some of the more kind of mysterious parts that are going to be developed, and we'll link that in the description.
Location-wise, Wellen Park is more inland between Northport, Venice, and Englewood. Some people claim Wellen Park is Venice, some people claim it's Northport. There's a whole fight going on there as to who Wellen Park truly belongs to, but in our opinion, Wellen Park at this point, it's its own little community. It does belong to Northport and some of it to Venice. There is a lot of homes that have Venice addresses, and that's why, if you have a Venice address, you are going to say it is in Venice. But yes, it is in between all those 3 towns.
And it's about 10 minutes away from the closest beach, which would be Minnesota Beach. So good to know that you're close to that. Just like Dearborn Street, you're looking at, 10, maybe 15 minutes to get to a beach for that one. Number 7 on the list is very similar to Wellen Park in a lot of ways, because when Wellen Park was constructed, it kind of reminds us of this, and it's Waterside Place in Lakewood Ranch. The vibe here is very similar because they also have a really big lake, and the downtown kind of, wraps around that to some degree, or is, kind of goes along with the lake, and it was kind of planned all together. And very similar in the fact there's a lot of shops, a lot of restaurants. The building style is somewhat similar, a little bit more of like gray and blue tones to the buildings.
But the style is very, very similar.
Right now, I would give it a little edge over Wellen Park. I like that they have the little bridge going over the water. And then on top of that, they've got all the fitness equipment and volleyball courts that are still being constructed, but you can tell that they're going to be there. And the fitness equipment along the trail along the lake, I think that kind of gives that a slight edge for me personally.
Yes, and also they will have a water taxi, so they'll be connecting the communities on the other side of the lake to the downtown. You'll be able to take a water taxi across the lake, which is, I think it's pretty cool. And that's another reason why we put it above Wellen Park. But again, we do think that Waterside and Wellen Park will both go up on the list as they get more built out, and once it's completed and everything, it's open.
Similar to Wellen Park, Waterside Place has a lot of the events and things like that going on, things to bring the community together, which is really, really cool. And they do have a variety of different things in there as far as like fitness centers that they've got obviously the restaurants and the shops and things like that. O&A Coffee, really, really good coffee shop in there. So really similar to Wellen Park in a lot of facets. So we won't beat a dead horse and tell you more about how it's similar, but just know that a lot of things we said about Wellen Park are going to be very, very similar to Waterside Place.
Location-wise, Waterside Place sits more inland in between Bradenton and Sarasota.
Also puts you really close to like the UTC shopping center, which in a way is almost kind of a downtown. I guess if we want to put it on the list, that would definitely be probably in the top 5, but it's not quite a downtown. But it's good to know that you're close to that, and a little bit further from the beaches though. So you're talking from Waterside Place, probably about 30-ish, give or take, minute drive, depending on what beach you're trying to get to and how traffic is looking.
Number 6 on the list is the main Lakewood Ranch downtown. This is a pretty cool area. It is a little bit older, and the reason why it's number 6 is because they do have a mini golf right in the downtown, and they also have a movie theater, and we are movie theater goers. But it is pretty cool to actually have the movie theater in the downtown, which not a lot of downtowns do. and it is very walkable. There's a lot of different small shops and restaurants, and there is a few healthy conscious restaurants.
Yeah, there's also a fitness center or two in there, I want to say. And I think what really does separate it from some of the other ones, and a lot of the reason we gave it that rating is, like she said, there's the mini golf and the movie theater. So it gives you a little more reason to kind of like stay and hang out for a while. You know, you can know dinner, movie, mini golf. Just having all that right in the area is kind of nice. Whereas like Wellen Park and Waterside Place, you've got some activities to do, but more of that's going to be like go in the splash pad, go on the playground, you know, walk around the lake, which is great, be healthy, outdoor, and active. But there's just a little bit more reason, I think, to come stay a little bit longer and, you know, maybe spend an entire day in the Lakewood Ranch downtown. Plus, I think the fact that it's completely built, completely developed, so all the stuff that you want there is already there. And the other ones, I think, like she said, once they're completed, they're probably going to surpass it. I think if they put movie theaters and mini golf in, they would for sure surpass it.
And this downtown, it's only a few miles away from Waterside Place. And again, in between Bradenton and Sarasota in the Lakewood Ranch area.
Number 5 on the list is Englewood Beach. Now, this is not probably considered technically a downtown, but it has somewhat of a downtown feel. And probably the biggest reason for putting it at this number on the list and above some like the other ones that are more like, you know, fancy and architectural or new is you're right across from the beach. And of all of them on the list, this is definitely the most beach feeling one, except for maybe one other one, kind of two other ones. So one thing that's nice about the beach area itself is obviously, like we say in a lot of the videos, you can get prehistoric shark's teeth and seashells on the beach. So there's an activity for you there. If you don't want to go on the beach and get sand on your feet and all that, they've got a nice wooden boardwalk that goes right along the water. So that's great. But then right across from the street, you got your kind of downtown area with lots of shops, bars, restaurants, beach themed stores, things like that.
Yes, the Waverly Place, that restaurant's really nice and really good as well. They have really good drinks. Also, Lock and Keys, they have great seafood there. Totally recommend if you are a seafood
Good
person.
drinks too. I'm not a seafood person though, so I can't count. I'll just say I like the drinks and the rest of the food that's not seafood.
And the vibes too. Every time, especially during the weekends, there's always live music on all the different restaurants, bars/restaurants, and you just can't beat having restaurants across from the beach. I feel like this area lacks that a lot, and being able to, you know, go to the beach and just cross the street to go either grab a drink or, you know, grab something to eat, not having to get in your car, get in your car and go somewhere to eat.
And yeah, even if you need like some beach supplies, you know, they got like sandals, t-shirts, flip-flops, stuff like that. And some of them also have, there's a place from St. Petersburg, Hippo or something like that. Mm-hmm. Popsicles are like really natural, like gourmet popsicles and stuff. So some of the stores will have those there. Those are great on a hot day. Just little things like that, I think, set it apart. And then there's
also walkable too. There is actual sidewalks going both ways that you can take, and it connects that area to the nearby condos and mobile homes. Yeah,
and then there's also a couple other places a little bit further down, like White Elephant and things like that. And some of them have like these big like stage areas where like bands will play, and it gets pretty lively at night, which is kind of unique and cool. And then also, can't remember the name of the road. Is it the road that goes on the bridge?
Beach Road?
Is that Beach Road?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it just continues.
Well, the road with the bridge, along there too, there's, you know, like different, like you can get like sunset dolphin tours or rent like different, you know, like jet skis and equipment and things like that. So really cool area too, just for doing some more activities on the water to kind of have that baked into the downtown is really unique. And it definitely has, as a whole, a very small tropical island. Like you feel like you're almost in a different country in a way. In a way that none of these other areas, I think, really quite hit.
Location-wise, this downtown area, it's the southernmost of all of the downtowns that we mentioned. And obviously, it's right by the beach, so you don't have to drive. Number 4 on the list is St. Armand Circle. This downtown, it's beautiful. It's more upscale than all of the ones on our list, so it's probably not for everyone. But there is a lot of different like designer shops, restaurants. There's also a park in the median of the circle that you can walk on, so it's pretty cool to be able to walk. And the whole area is walkable, but it's very busy. There's a lot of traffic, and I think it might also have to do with the fact that Little Key Beach is like right off of it. So the only difference between that and like Englewood, the beach area, it's that I feel like you wouldn't go to the beach and then go to a restaurant in St. Armor Circle, like wearing, you know, like just a cover up for your swimsuit, because people might look at you weird just because it's more upscale.
Yeah.
While in Englewood, I feel like you could do that and you'd be fine.
Yeah. There are a couple places I would say are a little more like price conscious and a little more beachy feeling, but yeah, for the most part it's pretty upscale. But there are some a little more, you know, quaint, you know, down to earth, salt of the earth type places as well. There's also a lot of cars, but it's also very pedestrian friendly at the same time, which it's kind of hard to like wrap your head around, because like pedestrians have right of way. There's lots of like yield signs and like letting you know to like stop for people that are going to be coming through the crosswalks, but there is a ton of traffic. So I'd say that's probably the biggest drawback to it, is the traffic. If it wasn't for that, and maybe for some people being upscale could be a good thing or a bad thing, just depends on, you know, what you're looking for. But outside of that, yeah, it's super pleasant. You can feel the breeze coming off of the ocean, and you're really close to the beaches. And I think also a unique thing about it is just the drive to get there, going over the bridges. It's just gorgeous views. Just the drive there is worth going, even if you don't decide to park there and hang out. Just drive to St. Armand's, and I think you'll find
it's very worth it.
Yeah, yes. That alone will make it a nice little activity. Location-wise, this one is the farthest north of all the ones on the list, and again, it's right by the beach, so you're right there to do your swimming or sandcastle building and whatever else that you want to do.
Number 3 on our list is Siesta Key Village, and the reason why this is so high up on the list is because it's a beautiful area. It's a little village. It feels like you are on an island, but it feels like you're on an island somewhere else. Somewhere in the Caribbean maybe. And there's always something going on, whether that's festivals or live music at the restaurants. There's a lot of different restaurants to pick from. Some shopping areas as well.
Yeah, I think one really cool thing about it too is like all the restaurants have a very like open air feel. You know, there's no like windows in a lot of them, so like the breeze comes in, or there's outdoor seating, decks, things like that. You know, there's people playing the steel drums and stuff. That totally adds to the vibe. And like she said, I think outside of Englewood, this is the only one that feels like you are kind of like on a different country, or, you know, a tropical island. So that going for it, along with, you know, some of the restaurants having the tiki type hut thing on the top and stuff like that, I think that adds to it a lot.
And a pretty cool thing about the Siesta Key Village is that there is a trolley that takes you from the village to the beach. So you could park, go to the beach, and if you get hungry or whatever, you can just hop on the trolley and it'll take you right to the village, which is pretty cool.
And not just any beach, world famous Siesta Key Beach, often rated the #1 beach in the United States of America. So that's cool to have that at your fingertips. And you could probably walk. It'd be a little bit of a walk, or take the trolley, or, you know, it's a very, very short drive to get from one to the other. And yeah, the sand on the beach is amazing, you know, powdered sugar sand.
Very fine.
Yeah.
And the beach as a whole, it does get really busy, because I mean, it is the #1 beach in the United States, but it does have a relaxing feel to it. Even though it can get crowded, you can still find a spot, because that whole sand area, it's huge, so you won't feel like you're on top of each other by any means.
Yeah, it's massive. It feels like it's probably like, I don't know, 5-10 football fields. Like, it's that big. Also, one thing I think that's really nice about Siesta Village, compared to like some of the other ones, it feels like one of the bigger ones as far as areas, you know, the amount of shops and the amount of land that it covers. So there's a lot of different options and things to go check out and things to go do. Definitely some of the other ones on the list are probably comparable to this, but it definitely feels like there's just a little bit more action going on than a lot of the other ones, and more options. Location, pretty self-explanatory. You're right by Siesta Key Beach, kind of towards the middle of Sarasota type area. Number 2, and we might be biased, but it's where we live, Venice. Venice is downtown. And really, Venice's downtown is probably like 3/4 of the reason that we moved here to begin with. So that's how great we thought it was, and that should tell you a lot.
So we're not being biased, because otherwise it would be #1, right?
Yeah, I guess so. And I think so there's so much to talk about with Venice's downtown and what makes it great. First of all, the Northern Italian architecture, just very unique, and when you go to it, it's like, we've heard a lot of people tell us this, because, by the way, she is a real estate agent in the area. If you want to move the area, call, text, or email 941-221-1897. But a lot of these people say when they come to Venice, it just like something strikes a chord in them, and they're like, I gotta live there.
You immediately know if you want to live here or not.
Yeah.
That's basically how it is. And for us too, I remember when we first came to Venice, we drove over the bridge, and then we just like, you're hit with the downtown palm trees, and we were like, wow, this is amazing. Like, we want to live here. And I've heard that from a lot of people as well. Like, once they're like, you're not lying when you say once you cross that bridge, it's like you see it all, and it's like, wow, this is great.
Yeah. And I think so there's so much to talk about because there's so many details that make it great. First of all, it's nice because it's not just Venice Avenue. You've got Tampa Avenue and Miami Avenue to the sides of it, which also have lots of shops, lots of restaurants, lots of one-on-one mom and pop type places that are super unique, great vibes, lots of, al fresco food where you can sit outside, beach themed shops and things like that. But then you've got all the plants, the flower baskets, the palm trees. It's also well manicured and thought out.
Yeah, there's also Centennial Park. It's a nice park, but there's not much to do. There's a splash pad and there's a little gazebo that sometimes there's live music going on there, but you can actually park in this park, in the parking lot, and it's free. You can park there and walk everywhere in the downtown area. There is the Heritage Park in the median of Venice Avenue that you can basically take Venice Avenue all the way down to the beach. That's just like a great walk as well. And being able to just, park somewhere for free and spend all day in the downtown and, either go shopping, go to the beach, go to the park, look at our beautiful banyan trees. It's like you can't beat that. Yeah, and I'd say there's somewhat of a similar feel between this and St. Armand Circle to some degree. Mm-hmm. They've got sort of that, Italian architecture and slightly upscale, but not quite so upscale, I say, as St. Armand's. It feels like a little more historic and a little bit of a beachy vibe because you are pretty close to the beach, but you're not like right by it like some of the other ones. And there's just, so much going on there. And it's also very clean, and people in Venice take pride in that as well. It's always very, very clean. The flowers are always looking very beautiful as well. Lots of events and stuff going on as well. They've got laughter yoga in, I think it's Sunday mornings. There's yoga in Centennial Park on the lawn there, another one of the mornings. And then on the weekends, they have all kinds of festivals, arts and craft festivals, the farmers market. And just random one-off type events that they're doing throughout the year, especially during the winter months. They also have a classic car show during the winter, which I think the first time we came here, we went to it. Yeah, they happened to be going and we had no idea. And so that was oh, this is cool. Mm-hmm. And one thing I think that makes this stand out from a lot of the other ones, except for maybe Wellen Park and Waterside Place, is it's probably one of the most pedestrian-friendly ones on the entire list. One nice touch that they added is on 90% of the crosswalks, there's actually motion censored lights that go off on the crosswalk all the way along it. So cars know to stop for you. The sidewalks are really wide, gives you lots of room to, walk. And I mean, there's tons of people that go to the downtown, so it's good that they're wide for that. Mm-hmm. And then there's a lot of benches throughout, Heritage Park, the entire Heritage Park walkway. There's bench swings and benches, all kinds of unique benches that look a little different along the way. And then the downtown itself has lots of benches. So you could just go there to just sit and people watch too. Sometimes that's fun to do. And also with the downtown, there is two-way streets, but it doesn't feel so busy that it's dangerous. You can have, you have 2 ways of traffic, so 4 lanes total, and you can still feel safe walking. And most people do drive pretty slow anyway because they want to take in all that architecture and the trees and the flowers. So most people will be driving slower because they want to look at those things, or most people don't know, they're trying to find a parking spot or things like that. Yeah, and just to give you a little more idea of how gorgeous it is, obviously we'll show you B-roll clips to try to give you a sense, and it just doesn't do it justice. We've had a lot of friends and family that we've told about the area, and then they came to visit, and they were like, oh, wow, okay, now I see, because, when they hear you talking, we're yeah, okay, they're talking about the downtown, and then when they come in person, oh, I get it. I know why you talk about it so much. Yes, you weren't lying. Number 1 on our list is Sarasota. And the reason why we put Sarasota above Venice is because it is a much bigger downtown, and there is a lot more to do in the Sarasota downtown. They have a library right in the downtown, the opera house is there as well. There's a lot of different restaurants to pick from, a lot of different shopping, and the stores are not department stores or designer. It's more small town shops.
But with a big city feel.
But yes, and there's also a lot of different coffee shops to pick from.
Yeah, another thing that I love about that downtown, a few things. It's super walkable, even though like it feels almost like big city, kind of like, you know, maybe like a Tampa or something like that. But it feels very pedestrian friendly, and there's less like office and like business stuff in the downtown. It's more hospitality focused. Like she said, you know, like you got your more restaurants and shops and things like that. But then there's also like this really unique artistic flair to everything. There's some unique like sculptures, murals, you know, even some of the sidewalks they paint in funky colors and things like that. So that side of things makes it stand out too and gives it a very unique feel. And then I think the other thing is it's bigger. Like she mentioned, it's bigger, but I think within that there's like almost all these like other like pockets. I almost feel like their own little separate like feels to them. It's like all these little downtowns kind of combined, and you know, one street or block could have a completely different feel than the other, but it's all like connected. It's just such a unique area, and there's just so much to explore. I think that alone is what, for me, puts it at the top. And
also there is the Bayfront Park area that you can walk to from the downtown, and that in its own, it's just a beautiful area. And there is like tiki bars that you can grab a bite to eat or a drink. There is also a cruise, a sunset cruise that you can take. And being just by the bay, the breeze that you feel as you're walking you can't beat that.
And the views are amazing with just the gorgeous turquoise clear water. You got some boats and yachts, and you can see the skyline with the taller buildings. And at the same time, you're in this area where there's lots of grass and a park type feel, lots of benches and shade. It just kind of brings everything together. And when you have that right next to the downtown itself, it's just very unique, one of one, unlike anything else out there, I think. But let us know, did we get it right? What order would you put these in if you've been to them in person?
If you're looking to buy or sell in any of these areas, make sure to call, text, or email our team, 941-221-1897.
Call or text at any time, whether you're looking to move in the next few days or the next few months. We'll always have your back. We hear from people all the time, and we love it.
And to learn more about the area, make sure to subscribe and turn all notifications on, and
live breezy.